I saw one on Saturday.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking. A surgery like that, I hear this, and a friend of mine too has some of those, and she said it was fantastic having, who was it, Rick, we were talking about that said they had pet insurance? I know Rick has, but I don't know, did you use it recently? But
pet insurance is great. I mean, if you...
It was like 40 or 50 bucks a month, and
yeah, it depends on the age of your dog. It depends on what coverage you want. There's coverage for everything, like annual vaccinations, heartworm prevention. That's obviously going to be more expensive. Then there's coverage for just illness and injury, which to me is the one that makes the most sense.
I think this one that she had was through a specific vet clinic or hospital, meaning that it wasn't one that you'd go to just anyone. It was one that was near her. But I would think most insurances maybe are out there also.
I think that's probably not true.
That's not. So you would get a policy that would be good whether I brought my dog to you or someone else. My carrier would cover the cost as long as it fit their criteria.
It's not like human health care. It's also not like human health care in the fact that you don't walk in and pay a copay. You don't walk out without paying anything. It's like insurance back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s where you pay the bill at the clinic. So if it's a $4,000 surgery, you pay $4,000. But then you submit that to your insurance company, and most of them are really good. Like you can scan it on your phone and send it in electronically. They reimburse you for whatever your coverage is.
Okay.
So it is just, everybody needs to understand that. It is not a, you don't have to pay anything. You still have to pay your veterinarian because we don't do we don't file your insurance for you. There's none of that like in human health care.
Okay, that's left to you to do that. It's all you.
All you.
You pay it and then you get reimbursed is how it typically works.
We don't care what your insurance is, because we have nothing to do with it.
That's right. You just
love that you have it because it allows us to take better care of your animals if you don't have the financial means to do a knee surgery. But yeah, we have nothing to do with it.
Gotcha. Okay, let's take one quick call before we go to the break. Cindy, good morning. Hi, Cindy.
Morning, Dick.
Hey, what's on your mind, Cindy?
Okay, well, I got a couple of questions for her because I know she's a vet. Now, one, I kept having this cat, a cat, and it kept coming here. Well, it started out as a kitten, and it would not leave. Okay, so I took it down, did the right thing, took it down to the, what do you call it, Humane Society, hoping it would get a home. I said, Jesus Christ, who's cat breeder around here because they're dumping off all their kittens. Well, they won't tell you nothing. So they take the cat. I assign all the paperwork. I told them exactly the area and exactly where I live because you got to show them your license. And I'll be danged if they did not, on probably less than a month, I guess they spayed it, because it was Carl, that's what they said. And it was a feral. It was from a feral cat that a woman has. Okay. And she keeps breeding them over and over and over. So then she just lets them go wild. Okay. So the cat jumped back up. And here it is, tearing everything up again. And, you know, I'm scared because I know cats can give you ringworm. And this cat has no shots. It will not let a human touch it. Okay, it's crazy.
But you're saying the cat...
Okay, well, here's the thing. Yeah. There's lots of things that we can talk about in this. The Humane Society doesn't release cats anywhere. So if it is the same cat, which I highly doubt, somebody went in and adopted it and brought it back. 2, we don't breed feral cats. The definition of feral is that they're wild. So if somebody is feeding feral cats, that's a little bit different story than breeding cats and dropping them off. So if it is the same cat, somebody went and adopted it that happened to live in your neighborhood and it found its way back, I have a feeling it's probably a different cat that looks exactly like it. Cats don't give you ringworm. It's very rare. I've only gotten ringworm from a cat once in 20 years, and that was when I went on my honeymoon in Canada.
Oh, how romantic.
Right. Well, apparently most of the cats in Canada actually do carry ringworm, and a lot of Canadians are just immune to it because it's happening up there. But yeah, so not that common. So I don't know if the question is how do you get them to go away or what you can do, but there are programs in the area like feral fix-ins. There used to be one called Snip and Tip. There's a lot of different groups that you can trap feral cats. They will spay and neuter them, and then they snip the tip of their ear so that from a distance you know that that cat has been altered. And they typically use the live traps, the have-a-heart traps that are humane. They go in, the door slaps behind them. You take them in, you get them fixed, they snip their ear, and you can release them. And that way, if you happen to catch a cat that has a tipped ear, you know that it's already been altered. So that's one thing that you can do.
Yeah, I wondered, knowing Cindy, and she's called in before, she's got a soft spot for cats, and she was saying a feral cat keeps coming back. I'm just wondering if she was feeding it.
Right, that was
maybe she was.
I mean, if it showed up as a kitten and it never left until it was almost full grown, I have a feeling there was probably some food out.
Yeah, food still is somewhere, maybe not hers, but that's why they come back.
To not have cats come back is don't feed them.
Yeah.
However, that's hard for all of us because you're like, oh, it's so skinny, and so we all feed it, and that's okay. No judgment there.
Yeah.
But if it is a feral cat and you can't touch it, then the next thing is that you probably need to get it into one of the feral colony fixing situations.
Right, and they're out there. Listen, we'll take a break on that. When we come back, we'll take more calls. The lines are open, 737-7587. Veterinarian Allison Fields, more right after this. Stay with us.
The last 40 years, I've gotten injured people the money they need from insurance companies.
Call Bart Durham Injury Law at 1-800-844-1712.
I'm Bart Durham, a personal injury lawyer, and I'd be proud to be your lawyer.
Your parents, your children, how can you be sure they'll be taken care of? How will you know if you can afford it? Attorneys Tim Tegas and Barbara McGinnis specialize in answering the questions every family will confront. These experts will help you find peace of mind by helping develop a plan you and your loved ones will have confidence in. Watch a special edition of MorningLine Tuesday morning at 8 on News Channel 5+.
Your girls have been with you through every moment of your life. And they're still with you right now. But how well do you know them?
You don't know my name.
Dreaming of a gorgeous new kitchen or bathroom? Granite Transformations can make your dreams a reality. We'll install high-quality quartz, glass, and stone countertops, tub and shower surrounds, mosaic tile backsplashes, and cabinets. With our revolutionary resurfacing process, we can complete your transformation in as little as 1 day. So act now and go from this to this. Call the number on your screen and get $1,000 off your kitchen or bath remodel. Granite Transformations. Done in a day. Beautiful for life.
Repeat after me. Apple, table, penny.
Apple, red.
When you tell people he has Alzheimer's, but he's in a clinical study, it's
not so hopeless.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's like, I hope we can just hang in there and maybe they'll find something,
Ask me again.
What season is it?
It's when all the leaves down and...
I know it's there, but I can't get it. Yeah. And it just kills me.
I remember watching Dad interact with the kids and thinking, geez, in 5, 6 years, will he even know who they are? 1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease. Learn more today at brightfocus.org.
Some say e-cigarettes aren't dangerous.
But science shows nicotine can harm teens' developing brains.
No matter how they're exposed.
Let's do an experiment to find out.
Here's a teen who won't be using e-cigarettes.
Now we need one willing to risk their brain development.
Care to volunteer your kid?
Every client has a story.
This is Champs.
My son and I were in a multi-car crash on I-40. Then a friend said, you need to call attorney Bart Durham. My son's come a long way since then. That's why we call him Champ.
Call Bart Durham Injury Law.
We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Nick Barris here with Allison Fields, our veterinarian, taking your phone calls if you'd like to join in the conversation. The number is 737-7587 if you want to jump in. Carol waited through the break. Let's go to Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hey, I like cat cake meow. Tell me what that called for.
I'm sorry, say that again for me?
What was that?
I like cat cake meow.
You want a cat that won't meow?
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a selective gene that we can choose for.
Wait, what? Yeah, what did he say exactly, Rick? Was it okay. Cats, okay, if it's the cats that don't meow, it's interesting, or dogs that don't bark. That's not, now there may be a characteristic where a dog's more quiet than another and doesn't bark as much, or a cat has different pitch sounding meows like we've talked about. Some Siamese, you know, there's not a breed that
doesn't meow, no.
One thing that infuriates me is people that get dogs or cats and they pay surgically. I don't know who would do it. You would not do it. Would you cut a dog's vocal cords?
They don't do that much anymore. I don't honestly know anybody who has vets who have done that. I will say though that there are cases that, like, you have this dog and it won't quit. It barks constantly, and you've tried medical, you've tried behavioral, and especially if you live in an apartment and the police are being called. At some point, it becomes a matter of the dog is either going to get rehomed, euthanized, or you debark it because of that. So that's kind of the method of last resort. If it comes down to, you know, this dog's getting euthanized because it won't stop.
Yeah.
But no, not many people do that. So there is a breed that doesn't usually bark, and that is the Basenji, but they howl and scream.
Yeah. Okay.
So they don't bark, but they do make noise. So there's really, I mean, there are some dogs that don't, but not breed-wise, but there are some dog personalities that really don't bark. But there's no way to know that until you have the dog.
Have it. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And there's some cats that don't, personality-wise, that don't make a whole lot. I have one cat that very rarely meows, Oliver. But Gammon and Madeline,
they're more vocal. They'll just like if they're happy to see you.
And if Oliver does meow, it's like a meow. He doesn't meow well. So yeah, the other two let me know things.
Yeah, you make a really good point that in extreme cases, certainly as opposed to euthanizing a dog. Now, I have seen, aside from surgical procedures, and I didn't like this, it was a beagle. And if you go to get a beagle, it's not like he's going crazy. Not ours, we've never done this, but that you can get one of those electric bands that goes around the throat.
A bark collar.
Yeah.
My dog has one.
How does it work?
My dog has one.
How's it work?
It senses vibrations.
Like if it tightens or
and it there's a lot of different ones. You can get them that beep, and then they vibrate, and then they might shock.
So
or
it warns
just
the dog, yeah.
Oh yeah. So mine has one that beeps and then vibrates, because she had developed a really bad habit of running out the back door and running to the back fence and just barking her little bottom off. And it's annoying to the neighbors. I don't want to be one of those people.
Nope, that's right.
And so I got her a bark collar that it beeps once, and then I think at the second bark it beeps twice, and then at the third bark it beeps 3 times, and it vibrates, and you can see her kind of go.
She'll realize.
But it distracts.
Yeah, so it's not hurting
and then
her.
there are also ones that have a shock in them.
Okay.
And I think ours does. It's just not turned off, so it goes from beep to vibrate to shock. Now, the shocks have different levels, and what I always tell people, which is what we did, if you're going to use a shock collar on your dog, whether it's an electric fence, I mean, there's really no difference between an electric fence shock collar or a bark collar. Just test it on yourself. You know, put it on, test it, see how bad it is, and if you're like, oh, that hurt, turn it down.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that. We have an electric fence where we're at because we have a big yard. And I posted a picture of like Betty, our dog. Someone was like, well, I always think shock collars or whatever are cruel. And you know what? You're just darn wrong. They're not. We're not out there to shock them. What we do is they
use it appropriately,
work wonderfully, and they're never getting shocked. There's one time where they may discover it, and I make sure it's a setting that's not painful, but it gets their attention, and they have never been shocked since. And it's not something where I hit the button and shock the animal or anything, and it works. And it's an invisible fence, and they know that boundary. You started off with little flags in the middle. It is not cruel. I think it's more cruel to chain them to a tree.
Yeah, I do.
All right, so people
tell us
say
how
that
you
are
really
just,
feel, Nick.
Well, it's ignorance. Now, if you're setting it wrong and you're shocking the crap out of them, or if you're doing something wrong and not training them properly to use it, yes, that's horribly wrong. Otherwise, if you think it's cruel, you're just flat wrong. All right? It's more cruel to chain them to a tree and leave them there. Well, at least they're staying there. And they work. They work. Now, the thing you've always said about electric fences, which is where we're going to be moving to another location that's more out in the wild, it doesn't keep animals out. Yeah, we're building a house that's going to be more in the Lebanon area.
Yeah.
And it's going to have more property up there, but it's also, you know, there could be more critters, and it doesn't keep like a coyote out, right? So you have to remember that your animal's still potentially at risk.
Correct.
Keeps the animal in.
So maybe you need to fence in a small little dog area.
That's exactly what we're going to have to do, something like that.
It also doesn't stop people from taking your dog.
No. Yeah, that's dog thefts. There was someone the other day that posted her service dog was stolen. It was a boxer. I think she may have gotten it back, but yeah, just so
service
upsetting.
Dog or?
That's what she said. I didn't see certification.
Yeah. We could have a whole show on the whole service/emotional support animal situation right now.
We may touch. Well, I want to know what you think on that. Let's take Jill real quick. Jill, good morning. Hi, Jill.
Morning, Jill.
Hi.
Hey, what's on your mind?
I have a question regarding the flea control. What about these new collars? I think they're called Seresto.
Seresto collars.
We have a really hard time with the cats. The cats think we're killing them every time we put the topicals on them. I know there's no way we could give them a pill. So I was just wondering the difference between the collar, and it's supposed to be flea and tick, correct?
Yeah. So here's the thing with cats. They don't make a pill for fleas and ticks for cats, so that's off the table. So you're left with topicals and you're left with the Seresto collar or other collars. If you're gonna use a collar, I do like the Seresto. It lasts for, I think it's 8 months. It does fleas and ticks. The only concern with cats is cats are A, really good at getting collars off. B, they can get hung on things, especially if this is an indoor-outdoor cat. And I feel like the Seresto collars are a breakaway collar, meaning safety collar for cats, so that if they do get hung on something, it will break and not string them or hang them to death. That being said, it's a $50, $60 flea collar that lasts for a long time. Do you really want to have to replace it once a month when your Houdini cat gets out of it over and over again or breaks it because they got hung on something? So they work great. They do have to be kept snug, not tight. And this is always the middle ground that's really hard to get. If it's too loose, it doesn't work. If it's too tight, it obviously can cause problems. So it needs to be snug, but not tight. So that being said, they are not my preferred flea and tick control for cats, just because I feel like they get pulled off, or break, which they should when the cat gets hung up on something, and they're a little bit expensive. I know that cats act like you're killing them when you put on the topical, but there is a new, there's not a new, but Brevecto, which makes a chewable tablet for dogs, makes a topical for cats that lasts for 3 months. So you only have to kill your cat.
What was that one called?
I'm sorry?
What was that one called?
Brevecto.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a topical, it's a tablet for dogs, but topical for cats, and it lasts for 3 months, so you only have to kill your cats 3 or 4 times a year.
Right.
So either one of those, I think, it's just a matter of what you want to do. Some of the topicals not only do fleas and ticks, but like Revolution, Advantage Multi, does heartworms and intestinal parasites. So depending on, if they're indoor, outdoor, this is a great conversation to have with your veterinarian as to what they think they should be on for the best coverage for their lifestyle.
Right. Well, ours are just indoors, so
if they're
okay, but I like to keep them covered and give them what
I would do the Brevecto. That's easy. You don't have to worry about keeping a collar on.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
You betcha. Thank you for your call. That's good. It is amazing as I just listen to you talk about all these varieties and things that you can do out there that work so well. I remember the old days as a little kid. We had cats,
and you had to dip them.
You had either dip or this powder stuff, or these collars you'd put on that smelled horrible. And more often than not, your cat would get a rash around the neck. But the powder, and then when you pick up the cat to pet it, you're getting this powder all over. It's ugh.
I remember having to dip the cats.
Yeah, things have come such a long way for the better. Listen, we'll take a break. That was a great phone call. We've got some other calls, 737-7587. Questions for the vet. She'll nail them for you right after this. Stay with us.
5 weather update. For weather on the go, download the Storm Shield app.
Shower and thunderstorm chances as we continue through the overnight hours. We'll bottom out at 63 degrees, and it will be a bit cooler for your Monday, but radar will still look very much like this with showers and thunderstorms around for a good part of the day. Here are temperatures across the region. You can see where the cold front's currently located. It's not a drastic difference in numbers, but it will be noticeable as far as highs that were around 80 being in the lower 70s. Jumping into your Monday. Here's the hourly observation from Nashville International Airport. We will see this bottom out at 63. Then by Monday afternoon, we are at 73 degrees. Drying out by Tuesday at 78. Back to 80s on Wednesday, right at 80 in the city. Then our next storm system begins to approach. Slight chances of rain Thursday into the weekend. From the Storm 5 Weather Center, I'm News Channel 5 meteorologist Henry Rothenberg.
Dreaming of a gorgeous new kitchen or bathroom? Granite Transformations can make your dreams a reality. We'll install high-quality quartz, glass, and stone countertops, tub and shower surrounds, mosaic tile backsplashes, and cabinets. With our revolutionary resurfacing process, we can complete your transformation in as little as 1 day. So act now and go from this to this. Call the number on your screen and get $1,000 off your kitchen or bath remodel. Granite Transformations. Done in a day. Beautiful for life.
One accident changed his life, physically, mentally, and financially.
How do you live a normal life knowing you owe all this money?
I don't. Many Middle Tennesseans find themselves in his shoes.
A bill that a patient can't afford directly impacts the patient's health.
News Channel 5 is stepping in to help. If you've received this yellow envelope, News Channel 5 wants to hear from you. Watch all day Tuesday to see how News Channel 5 helps rescue hundreds from medical debt.
All right, back on Morning Line. She's wetting her whistle, which is good.
I am.
Because she sometimes gets parched on the big show.
I do.
Here.
We talk about so much.
This is Allison Fields doing this. How many years have you been doing this now, Allison?
We started this in 2002 or 3.
2002
I can never remember.
And we have forged a bond between us. We have forged.
We have.
Sometimes I'm not here.
I feel like we could probably do our own show like all the time.
We absolutely
Like somebody just
could.
needs to pick us up and syndicate us.
Well, as long as we have your expertise, we can do it.
Why don't we sell this?
You would love it.
We would have so much fun.
You would become
it's kind of like Kathy Lee and what's his face? Regis and Kathy Lee. We could be Nick and Allison.
Well, Kathy Lee's moving here, and she may be looking to co-host this show with me. How about them apples?
Well, she's not a veterinarian, so good luck with that.
She's gonna be pursuing her musical career here, I would assume. All right, you know who
why are people moving here? Why?
It's a great place to live. It's a great place to live. All right, let's go next to Jewel. Jewel is a cat lover.
He is.
Top of the morning to you, Jewel.
Top of the morning to you. How you doing?
Good. What is going on, my friend?
Well, time goes on and the beat goes on. It's always so pleasant to see Miss Fields there. Can I recite a quick little poem to y'all?
All right, if it's quick, go ahead.
Okay, it's called A Parcel of Kitty Cats. When I first moved out to my cabin, I never had one, and now I've got 8 left. I got a parcel of kitty cats, and I just can't say where I got them at. At first, just one at the old screen door. Next thing I know, there's a couple more. Well, they look so skinny and hungry to me, as I thought, dear Lord, how can this be? Don't their masters know better than that? So I decided to look after them cats. I bought them an egg, and I bought them some food and mixed in an egg, and soon more came and started to beg. So I bought more egg and more cat food, and it wasn't long as looking good. Well, I'm sorry they gone hungry before, and that their masters didn't want them no more. On the other hand, I'm glad, you see, I got a parcel of kitty cats, and all for free.
That's great, Joel.
They're expensive. I'm going to go on home, Miss Fields. Pretty soon I'm moving out of the valley and going back up home to Indiana, be with my kith and kin. I'm renting a little 4x8 U-Haul trailer, and I thought I'd make a place for my remaining 8 cats, but it's just too hot in there, so I have an extended cab on my pickup truck, and I'm going to put a fencing between my back seat and the extended cab. And I wonder, should I feed them before I go? It's going to be an 8 to 10 hour trip. I'm taking the back roads. I don't like the inner.
I would probably just get cat carriers and see if you can't just stack the carriers back there. And you want to feed them and give them water before you go. If you're going to do it in one day, you don't need to stop and feed them. Just go ahead and drive and get there.
Just make sure there's ventilation and.
Well, if they're in the cab,
it's going to work. Yeah, he'll know. Yeah,
it should. Obviously, don't leave them in the car while you stop and get gas without the car running or whatever. But I would probably just do carriers, because the last thing you want is that's in an extended cab. That's not a whole lot of floor space, and so they're all going to be piled up in there together, and that's a stressful situation, and you may have some arguments in the back, and now you're distracted, and that just doesn't make for a pleasant trip. So if everybody just gets in their own carrier, it doesn't have to be a big carrier, it can be one of the small carriers. Everybody gets in one, you can stack them on up in the extended cab, and everybody's safe.
It's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, traveling with pets, some pets travel better than others. Sometimes folks travel by air, and they have to check the animal. Sometimes they allow them on, depending on, you know, the circumstances, or they check them in a safe area of baggage. Do you recommend sometimes giving animals, if they're very frightened by it, some type of, you know, like doggy down or whatever it is to relax them when they fly, tranquilizer of any type? Or
I typically don't do a tranquilizer when they fly, because if that animal doesn't respond well to it, or if there's a problem, the pilot is not going to make an emergency landing for your dog.
Oh, all right.
So I am not a huge, I mean, I might give a little something to take the edge off, but I'm not like a huge tranquilizer.
As long as they're safe in a cage.
And if we are going to, then the owners need to kind of do a trial run before they fly, you know, have a day when they're going to be home and give the dog the medicine and see how they react to it. And if it's going under in the luggage compartment, I would never tranquilize. I would be very hesitant to fly any dog under. You guys can go online and find the reports of animal deaths that fly in the luggage in the bottom. Go ahead and do that.
Because from the tranquilizer or from other things?
Not from the tranquilizer.
Really? So
I'm not. They can do their research.
Would you? Okay. So would you? If you were to travel with your pet by air, what would you do? Or you would simply not do it?
No. If I was moving to Oregon, I would drive.
Okay. Sure. All right. But if there was, otherwise, there's no reason to take.
Yeah.
You'd be personally. You would not want.
I mean, I have a big dog. I have a 60-pound dog. She cannot fit under the seat.
Right. Right.
So she would have to go in the luggage, or in the whatever that is.
There's certain compartments there that have oxygen, or that are supposed to be temperature controlled for. But still, you can tell you're not going to let your animals do that.
Nope.
All right. I know there are people that, bring them on board, and this touches back on what you said you wanted to hit on real quick. We could do a whole show on it. But what do you see happening with the service dog thing? What is it that's...
Well, there's a huge... You can't just say service dog. There's a huge difference between a service dog, an emotional support dog, and a dog that somebody got online and paid $75 for a certificate with. There are true service dogs, seeing eye dogs, seizure alert dog, PTSD for our veterans dogs, diabetic alert dogs. There are dogs that were not gotten to be a family pet. They came from a company, a group, whatever, that trains dogs from the time they're puppies up until they're 1.5 to 2 years old, and they're ready to do their job. And then they are placed with people who need them. That is a service dog.
That is legit.
Or, somebody who is in a wheelchair needs a service dog to turn off lights, pick up things they drop. Service dog. Emotional support animals, while I totally agree that they are very helpful to people who need them, they are very easy to get a fake piece of paper for. And nothing is making the real service dog people more angry, nor veterinarians more angry, than people coming in with their little biting chihuahua who's trying to eat my face off, and they are telling me it's an emotional support animal and it gets to go everywhere with them. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. There was, if you do some research, there was a emotional support animal, I can't remember what type it was, in some airport in the past 12 months. Rick, you could find this for us, that attacked a little girl, bit a little girl in the airport. Emotional service animals would never.
They are so well trained. They're very.
You should never. I mean, a service animal, you don't touch them. Period.
Right.
If you want to speak to the dog, you ask their handler or their person. Even when they come in to see me, a seeing eye dog, I wait for the owner to release them from their job, and then I can talk to them. They have a job. They are saving lives. They are helping people live a fulfilling life, and to have people call things a service dog when they're not, and to try to slide them into airports, airplanes, restaurants, whatever, they are ruining it for the people with the real service dogs. There's some airlines now, Rick, find it for us, that actually has just completely said no animals, no service dogs, no anything, because it's too. They're not the police, and they can't police whether this certificate is real or what. And there's people bringing on, this is my emotional support peacock. I mean, really?
Yeah, because they're afraid of flying, which I sympathize and I believe it may help them. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of like that, and I love animals. I am not a fan unless there's a special area for it. And I've been to some restaurants where you can bring your dog and stuff. I'm not a fan of having dogs in restaurants or cats in restaurants or a dog on a plane. Now, I understand if it's a service dog and it really is, they're so well behaved and so well trained, I'm fine with that. But in general, I just assume not have a dog next to me in a restaurant.
Right. Okay? And there are restaurants here that have like patios that are meant for you to, especially in the urban neighborhoods. We have one, or we used to have one, I don't know if they're still
United and Delta, Rick says, have both banned emotional support animals.
Right. And you know why? Because people were ruining it for everybody else.
No, I'm sorry. If you have anxiety about flying, don't fly.
Take a Xanax.
Or take a Xanax. Don't bring your dog that's not properly trained just because you like to pet him and he makes you feel good. There's sympathy for someone who gets anxiety flying, but I'm sorry. These dogs are not trained to the level of these service dogs.
No, they're not. And it's a huge risk for the airlines to put these animals on planes for reasons that, they make messes, they bark the whole time, they're not trained for that.
Well, I also think there's people out there that choose to try to get these fake certifications, not even because they really need the emotional support, they just like the idea of the animal being with them.
Yep.
And so they just they just bring them along because that's your buddy and I want him to be with me.
I have people that come in and ask me, how do I make this an emotional support animal? I'm like, well, you take it back and you go get an animal that's been trained for that. I can't make your dog this. Well, can't you fill out paperwork? No.
Right, but that's what they want.
No, vets will hands down across the board be like, we're out. There is no let's go to the emotional support dog web page because there's a whole group that is regulated. There's nothing like that. Literally, you can get online and buy a vest for your dog.
And then people
$40.
see that, and then right. Can you get? I guess there's a differentiation when you see that United and Delta are choosing not to allow emotional support dogs on there. Can you get something that makes your dog look like it's a service dog? Or is that harder to get a licensing for that?
I don't know.
People doing that as well?
I personally have no interest in figuring that out, and I'm not gonna.
I just worry that they will, and there'll be people pulling that when they shouldn't too.
I think it's a little bit harder to get a guide dogs for the blind. Harness and everything else.
Those dogs are amazing.
They're amazing.
And I've learned talking to them, and you're absolutely. You see them. I don't even. And oftentimes I've seen people ask, and the owner says, "Sure, you can pet them," but in general, I don't even ask.
Sometimes they say no.
Because most of the time they're busy. I don't even ask. I love watching them interact. And if you see a seizure dog hit when their owner's about to have one, and then they have it, it's an amazing thing to watch, and they can pick up on it. And boy, you are right. They are saving lives.
And diabetic dogs are amazing. I don't know how they do that, but they know when the owner's glucose drops too low, and they alert them. It's amazing. They're amazing. They have, it's just tragic that people have gotten to this point where it's more important for them to take their ankle biter in a purse with them everywhere, and they're ruining it for the people who actually need these dogs to survive.
Let's take a break on that note. When we come back, our final segment, more of your phone calls, more of our conversation right after this. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
This week on Fishin' Affliction TV.
Oh, it's two of them. Oh, no way! Big dog.
Join Team Fishing Affliction for some great A-rig fishing down there in Sweet Home, Alabama.
Hey, we were just talking about this. You don't think this pink line will work? Think again.
Your Fishing Affliction TV weekend begins Saturdays right here on News Channel 5 Plus, your home for
Fishing Affliction time for those who've got it bad.
Dreaming of a gorgeous new kitchen or bathroom? Granite Transformations can make your dreams a reality. We'll install high-quality quartz, glass, and stone countertops, tub and shower surrounds, mosaic tile backsplashes, and cabinets. With our revolutionary resurfacing process, we can complete your transformation in as little as 1 day. So act now and go from this to this. Call the number on your screen and get $1,000 off your kitchen or bath remodel. Granite Transformations. Done in a day. Beautiful for life.
Every client has a story.
This is Champs.
My son and I were in a multi-car crash on I-40. We were both hurt, but he was critical with a head injury. The doctors told me he'd need years of therapy. Then a friend said, you need to call attorney Bart Durham. As soon as I talked to Blair, a huge burden came off me. My son's come a long way since then. That's why we call him Champ.
If you've been injured in an accident, call Bart Durham Injury Law at 1-800-844-1712.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, we are back on Morning Line. It's our final segment this morning with Allison Fields, veterinarian. If you have a question or comment about your pet, give us a call, 737-7587. It's funny, Rick was talking about this trend during the break of fresh foods for your pets.
Let's have a little food discussion.
Okay, let's talk food.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. For years, veterinarians have been saying that grain-free food is a bunch of hooey, but nobody wants to listen to their local veterinarian. They just want to believe the box on the wall, which you're watching right now. So this might be a little ironic. But we've been saying that dogs really aren't allergic to grains and that they would eat grains in the wild, and people say no, they wouldn't eat grains. And I ask you, if you're a wolf and you kill a deer, what's the first part you eat? Eat the innards. The innards. What's in the innards? Grain. You eat grain. So dogs have eaten grain for years. Dogs also need meat and blah, blah, blah. So recently, within the past, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, studies have come out proving, lo and behold, that your veterinarians were correct. Grain-free dog food has been implicated in causing heart disease in dogs, dilated cardiomyopathy to be exact. And part of the reason is that what they are replacing the grains with, different legumes and other things, are blocking the absorption of taurine. Taurine is necessary for heart function. So while they add extra taurine, and it says with added taurine, that's great, but if you can't absorb it, you can't use it. If you can't use it, your heart goes flabby and doesn't work. So the grain-free food trend, which started when people started becoming gluten-free, you know, if you look at the numbers in people, there's a very small minority of people who actually have celiac disease, but there's a lot of other people who are gluten-free, not for a true medical allergy, but because they might feel better while they're not on gluten. That got translated through the marketing companies into animals. So grain is not bad for your pets, so don't be afraid to use it. You can get online and you can find these studies. You can see what groups what different foods and companies are the ones that they're recommending you to stick with. Most of the ones that are being the grain-free, most of them are more boutique foods. They don't have a veterinary nutritionist on board who's figuring out all of these different diets. You need a food that has been approved and formulated by a veterinary nutritionist and has been tested, all of this stuff. So pay attention. Don't just believe the box on the wall. Now, let's talk about the fresh foods. So the AVMA, which is the American Veterinary Medical Association, does not recommend raw feeding in dogs, mainly for one specific reason, and that is diseases that you and your dog can get from raw meat. Now, everybody out there that feeds raw meat is going to get all mad and all